A'dan is a seaport city in Yemen, located by the eastern approach to the Red Sea, some 170 kilometers east of Bab-el-Mandeb. Its population is approximately 800,000 people. A'dan's ancient, natural harbour lies in the crater of a dormant volcano which now forms a peninsula, joined to the mainland by a low isthmus. This harbour, front bay, was first used by the ancient kingdom of Orsam between the 5th and 7th centuries BC. The modern harbour is on the other side of the peninsula. A'dan gives its name to the Gulf of Aden. A'dan consists of a number of distinct sub-centres. Crater, the original port city; Mala, the modern port; Tawahi, known as Steamer Point in the colonial period, and the resorts of Gold Moher. Kormaksa, located on the isthmus that connects A'dan proper with the mainland, includes the city's diplomatic missions, the main offices of A'dan University, and A'dan International Airport, Yemen's second biggest airport. On the mainland are the sub-centres of Sheikh Othman, a former oasis area; Al-Mansoura, a town planned by the British; and Madinat Shab, the site designated as the capital of the South Arabian Federation and now home to a large power desalinization facility and additional faculties of A'dan University. A'dan encloses the eastern side of a vast natural harbour that comprises the modern port. The volcanic peninsula of Little A'dan forms a near-mirror image, enclosing the harbour and port on the western side. Little A'dan became the site of the oil refinery and tanker port. Both were established and operated by British Petroleum until they were turned over to Yemeni government ownership and control in 1978. A'dan was the capital of the People's Democratic Republic of Yemen until that country's unification with the Yemen Arab Republic in 1990, and again briefly served as Yemen's temporary capital during the aftermath of the 2014-15 Yemeni coup d'état, as declared by President Abd Rabbuh Mansur Hadi after he fled the Houthi occupation of Sana'a. From March to July 2015, the Battle of A'dan raged between Houthis and loyalists to President Hadi. Water, food, and medical supplies ran short in the city. On 14 July, the Saudi army launched an offensive to retake A'dan for Hadi's government. Within 3 days the Houthis had been removed from the city. History. Antiquity. A local legend in Yemen states that A'dan may be as old as human history itself. Some also believe that Cain and Abel are buried somewhere in the city. The port's convenient position on the sea route between India and Europe has made A'dan desirable to rulers who sought to possess it at various times. Throughout history, known as ʻAdin in the 1st century BC, it was a transshipping point for the Red Sea trade, but fell on hard times when new shipping practices bypassed it and made the daring direct crossing to India in the 1st century AD. According to the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea, the same work describes A'dan as a village by the shore, which would well describe the town of Crater while it was still little developed. There is no mention of fortification at this stage. A'dan was more an island than a peninsula, as the isthmus was not then so developed as it is today. Medieval. Although the pre-Islamic Himyar civilization was capable of building large structures, there seems to have been little fortification at this stage. Fortifications at Merb and other places in Yemen and the Hadramaut make it clear that both the Himyar and the Sabine cultures were well capable of it. Thus, watchtowers, since destroyed, are possible. However, the Arab historians Ibn al-Muhawwar and Abu Makrama attribute the first fortification of A'dan to Beni Zurayah. Abu Makrama has also included a detailed biography of Muhammad Hazim Sultan Kamarbandi Naqsh in his work, Tariq ul-Yemen. The aim seems to have been twofold: to keep hostile forces out and to maintain revenue by controlling the movement of goods, thereby preventing smuggling. In its original form, some of this work was relatively feeble. After 1175 AD, rebuilding in a more solid form began, and ever since A'dan became a popular city attracting sailors and merchants from Egypt, Sind, Gujarat, East Africa and even China. According to Mugadassi, Persians formed the majority of Aden's population in the 10th century. In 1421, China's Ming dynasty Yongle Emperor ordered Principal Envoy Grand Eunuch Li Xing and Grand Eunuch Zhou Man of Zheng He's fleet to convey an imperial edict with hats and robes to bestow on the king of Aden. The envoys boarded 3 treasure ships and set sail from Sumatra to the port of Aden. This event was recorded in the book Ying Ye Shenglan by Marwan, who accompanied the imperial envoy. British administration 1839 to 1967. Before British administration, Aden was occupied by the Portuguese between 1513 to 1538 and 1547 to 1548. It was ruled by the Ottoman Empire between 1538 to 1547 and 1548 to 1645. In 1609 the Ascension was the first English ship to visit Aden, before sailing on to Mocha during the 4th voyage of the East India Company. After Ottoman rule, Aden was ruled by the Sultanate of Lahej, under suzerainty of the Zaidi Imams of Yemen. Aden was at this time a small village with a population of 600 Arabs, Somalis, Jews and Indians, housed for the most part in huts of red matting erected among ruins recalling a vanished era of wealth and prosperity. Haynes, disambiguation needed, stated that it could become a major trading centre, and the latter part of the British period proved him correct, with Aden growing to become one of the busiest ports in the world. In 1838, under Muhsin bin Fadl, Lahej ceded 194 square kilometres including Aden to the British. On 19 January 1839, the British East India Company landed Royal Marines at Aden to secure the territory and stop attacks by pirates against British shipping to India. In 1850 it was declared a free trade port, with the liquor, salt, arms, and opium trades developing duties as it won all the coffee trade from Mocha. The port lies about equidistant from the Suez Canal, Mumbai, and Zanzibar, which were all important British possessions. Aden had been an entrepot and a way station for seamen in the ancient world. There, supplies, particularly water, were replenished, so, in the mid-19th century, it became necessary to replenish coal and boiler water. Thus Aden acquired a coaling station at Steamer Point, and Aden was to remain under British control until 1967. Until 1937, Aden was governed as part of British India and was known as the Aden Settlement. Its original territory was enlarged in 1857 by the 13 square kilometres island of Perim, in 1868 by the 73 square kilometres Kuriyama Islands, and in 1915 by the 108 square kilometres island of Comorin. The settlement would become Aden Province in 1935. In 1937, the settlement was detached from India and became the colony of Aden, a British Crown colony. The change in government was a step towards the change in monetary units seen in the stamps illustrating this article. When British India became independent in 1947, Indian rupees were replaced in Aden by East African shillings. The hinterland of Aden and Hadramaut were also loosely tied to Britain as the Aden Protectorate, which was overseen from Aden. Aden's location also made it a useful entrepot for mail passing between places around the Indian Ocean and Europe. Thus, a ship passing from Suez to Bombay could leave mail for Mombasa at Aden for collection. See postage stamps and postal history of Aden. The 1947 Aden riots saw more than 80 Jews killed, the property looted and schools burned by a Muslim mob. After the Suez Crisis in 1956, Aden became the main location in the region for the British. Aden sent a team of 2 to the 1962 British Empire and Commonwealth Games in Perth, Western Australia. Little Aden 1955 to 1967. Little Aden is still dominated by the oil refinery built for British Petroleum. Little Aden was well known to seafarers for its tanker port with a very welcoming seamen's mission near to the BP Aden tugs jetties. complete with swimming pool and air-conditioned bar. The accommodation areas for the refinery personnel were known by the original Arabic names of Buraiqa and Gadir. Buraiqa was wooden housing bunkhouses built to accommodate the thousands of skilled men and laborers imported to build the refinery, later converted to family housing, plus imported prefabricated houses, the Riley Newsams, that are also to be found in parts of Australia. Buraiqa also had a protected bathing area and beach club. Gadir housing was stone-built, largely from the local granite quarry. Much of this housing still stands today, now occupied by wealthier locals from Aden. Little Aden also has a local township and numerous picturesque fishing villages, including the lobster pots of Gadir. The British Army had extensive camps in Buraiqa and through Silent Valley in Falaise Camp. These successfully protected the refinery staff and facilities throughout the Troubles, with only a very few exceptions. Schooling was provided for children from kindergarten age through to primary school. After that, children were bused to the Isthmus School in Kormaksa, though this had to be stopped during the Aden emergency. Federation of South Arabia and the Aden emergency, in order to stabilize Aden and the surrounding Aden Protectorate from the designs of the Egyptian-backed Republicans of North Yemen. The British attempted to gradually unite the disparate states of the region in preparation for eventual independence. On the 18th of January 1963, the colony of Aden was incorporated into the Federation of Arab Emirates of the South against the wishes of North Yemen. The city became the State of Aden and the federation was renamed the Federation of South Arabia. An insurgency against British administration known as the Aden Emergency began with a grenade attack by the Communists' National Liberation Front against the British High Commissioner on 10 December 1963, killing one person and injuring 50, and a state of emergency was declared. In 1964, Britain announced its intention to grant independence to the FSA in 1968, but that the British military would remain in Aden. The security situation deteriorated as NLF and FLOSY vied for the upper hand. In January 1967, there were mass riots between the NLF and their rival FLOSY supporters in the old Arab quarter of Aden town. This conflict continued until mid-February, despite the intervention of British troops. During the period there were as many attacks on the British troops by both sides as against each other, culminating in the destruction of an Aden Airways DC-3 plane in the air with no survivors. The increased violence was a determining factor in the British ensuring all families were evacuated quicker than initially intended, as recorded in From Barren Rocks to Living Stones. On 30 November 1967, British troops were evacuated, leaving Aden and the rest of the FSA under NLF control. The Royal Marines, who had been the first British troops to arrive in Aden in 1839, were the last to leave, with the exception of a Royal Engineer detachment. Independence. Aden became the capital of the new People's Republic of South Yemen, which, in 1970, was renamed the People's Democratic Republic of Yemen. With the unification of northern and southern Yemen in 1990, Aden was no longer a national capital but remained the capital of Aden Governorate, which covered an area similar to that of the Aden colony. On 29 December 1992, Al-Qaeda conducted its first known terrorist attack in Aden, bombing the Gold Moha Hotel, ʻAdin, where U.S. servicemen were known to have been staying en route to Somalia for Operation Restore Hope. A Yemeni and an Austrian tourist died in the attack. Aden was briefly the center of the secessionist Democratic Republic of Yemen from 21 May 1994 but was reunited by Republic of Yemen troops on 7 July 1994. Members of Al-Qaeda attempted to bomb the U.S.-guided missile destroyer the Sullivans at the port of Aden as part of the 2000 Millennium Attack plots. The boat that had the explosives in it sank, forcing the planned attack to be aborted. The bombing attack on destroyer Uskal took place in Aden on 12 October 2000. In 2007, growing dissatisfaction with unification led to the formation of the secessionist South Yemen movement. According to the New York Times, the movement's mainly underground leadership includes socialists, Islamists and individuals desiring a return to the perceived benefits of the People's Democratic Republic of Yemen. President Abd Rabbuh Mansur Hadi fled to Aden, his hometown, in 2015 after being deposed in a coup d'état. He declared that he was still Yemen's legitimate president and called on state institutions and loyal officials to relocate to Aden. In a televised speech on 21 March 2015, he declared Aden to be Yemen's economic and temporary capital, while Sana'a is controlled by the Houthis. Aden was hit by violence in the aftermath of the coup d'état, with forces loyal to Hadi clashing with those loyal to former President Ali Abdullah Saleh in a battle for Aden International Airport on 19 March 2015. After the airport battle, the entire city became a battleground for the Battle of Aden, which left large parts of the city in ruins and has killed at least 198 people since March 25, 2015. On 14 July 2015, the Saudi Arabian army launched an offensive to win control of the city. Within 3 days, the city was cleared of Houthi rebels, ending the Battle of Aden with a coalition victory. Main sites. Aden has a number of historical and natural sites of interest to visitors. These include the historical British churches, the Zoroastrian temple, the cisterns of Tawila, an ancient water catchment system located in the subcenter of Crater, Syra Fort, the Aden Minaret, the Palace of the Sultanate of Lahej National Museum, the Aden Military Museum, the Rambo House, the fortifications of Jebel Hadid and Jebel Shamzan, the beaches of Aden and Little Aden, Al-Druze Mosque, Crater Pass, previously a site of the Crater Pass Bridge built by the Ottomans which was destroyed in 1964 by British authorities to widen the existing roadway. Economy. Historically, Aden would import goods from the African coast and from Europe, the United States, and India. As of 1920, the British described it as the chief emporium of Arabian trade, receiving the small quantities of native produce, and supplying the modest wants of the interior and of most of the smaller Arabian ports. At the docks, the city provided coal to passing ships. The only item being produced by the city, as of 1920, was salt. Also, the port was the stop ships had to take when entering the Bab-el-Mandeb. This was how cities like Mecca had received goods by ship. Yemen Airlines, the national airline of South Yemen, had its head office in Aden. On 15 May 1996, Yemen Airlines merged with Yemeni. During the early 20th century, Aden was a notable center of coffee production. Women processed coffee beans, grown in the Yemen highlands. Frankincense, wheat, barley, alfalfa, and millet was also produced and exported from Aden. The leaves and stalks of the alfalfa, millet, and maize produced in Aden were generally used as fodder. As of 1920, Aden was also gathering salt from salt water. An Italian company called Agostino Bergarella Ajola and Company gathered and processed the salt under the name Aden Salt Works. There was also a smaller company from India, called Abdullah Boy and Jumaboy Lalji and Company that owned a salt production firm in Aden. Both companies exported the salt. Between 1916 and 1917, Aden produced over 120,000 tons of salt. Aden has also produced potash, which was generally exported to Mumbai. Aden produced jolly boats. Charcoal was produced as well, from acacia, and mainly in the interior of the region. Cigarettes were produced by Jewish and Greek populations in Aden. The tobacco used was imported from Egypt. Transportation. Historically, Aden's harbour has been a major hub of transportation for the region. As of 1920, the harbour was 13 by 6 kilometres in size. Passenger ships landed at Tawahi. On 1 January 1977, ʻAdin changed to driving on the right, in line with the configuration of neighbouring states. The city was served by ʻAdin International Airport, the former RAF Kormaksa station, which is 10 kilometers away from the city. Before the Battle of Aden Airport and the 2015 military intervention in Yemen closed this airport along with other airports in Yemen. July 22, ʻAdin International Airport was declared fit for operation again after the Houthi forces were driven from the city, and a Saudi plane carrying aid reportedly became the first plane to land in Aden in 4 months. The same day, a ship chartered by the World Food Programme carrying fuel docked in Aden's port. Climate. Aden has a hot desert climate in the Köppen-Geiger climate classification system. Twin towns, sister cities.